Sometimes when a relationship ends, it can leave both people wondering if it was really the right decision, especially when he's the one who walked away or took you for granted. There's a moment when reality hits, and he begins to feel the weight of what he lost. So, how do you know if he truly regrets losing you? Let's talk about it. Sometimes after a breakup, especially when he was the one who took you for granted, there comes a point when he begins to realize what he lost. One of the first signs of that regret is when he suddenly starts reaching out for no clear reason. He might say he's just checking in or wondering how you're doing, but deep down, your silence has started to echo in his life. The absence of your presence, your voice, your energy. It's something he notices more than he expected. This kind of outreach isn't always about getting back together. It's about wanting to feel close again, even if it's just through a few harmless messages. You may also catch him bringing up the past in casual conversation. He'll mention a funny moment you shared or a memory that only makes sense to the two of you. It's not random. It's him trying to relive the comfort and connection he once felt with you. You might notice him becoming more active on your social media, liking old photos or viewing all your stories. This is his way of keeping tabs on your life without directly asking questions. It allows him to feel connected while still keeping his distance, trying not to look too obvious. Another revealing moment is when he starts asking mutual friends about you. If he's trying to find out if you're happy, dating someone new, or moving on, it's usually because he's comparing his own experience with the one you're living now. And even if he's dating someone else, you might hear that it doesn't feel quite right. Because emotionally, he hasn't truly let go. If he starts to take accountability and says things like, "I know I could have done better," it's a sign that he's been thinking deeply, reflecting on how he contributed to the breakup and feeling the weight of those decisions. In some cases, he might try to show up differently, becoming more emotionally available, more present, or working on the things you once wished he would. He may even start improving himself physically, mentally, or professionally, not just for you, but because he wants to become someone who doesn't lose someone like you again. That's real regret. Not the kind that's loud and dramatic, but the kind that slowly changes a man. And while regret doesn't always mean you should take him back, it does mean you had a lasting impact. You showed him a version of love and connection that's hard to forget. When a man regrets losing you, one of the most subtle yet telling signs is how often he starts bringing up the past. You'll notice it in casual conversations where he suddenly recalls a memory, like that random weekend trip you both took, or the way you used to laugh at an inside joke no one else understood. These moments aren't just nostalgic chatter. They're his way of reconnecting to the emotional intimacy you once shared. The past becomes his safe place, a way to relive the comfort and closeness that he's now missing in his current life. It's not unusual for these memories to surface at unexpected times. He might randomly mention a song that reminds him of you, a restaurant you loved, or even a show you both used to watch. These mentions aren't accidental. They often carry a deeper emotional weight. He's not just remembering the events, he's remembering how he felt with you. That longing can creep up in small, seemingly innocent remarks, but each one is layered with unspoken feelings. Sometimes, he might even test the waters to see how you respond. He could say something like, "Remember that time we got caught in the rain?" just to see if the memory still brings a smile to your face. He's hoping to feel a spark, even a faint one, because it reassures him that not everything between you is lost. If you respond warmly, it gives him a sliver of hope. If you're distant or cold, it reminds him even more of what he let go of. This constant return to the past is a quiet sign of regret. It shows that, whether or not he admits it out loud, part of him still lives in those moments with you. He's not just reminiscing. He's processing the emotional gap your absence has left. And by reliving those shared memories, he's also subtly telling you that the connection you had wasn't just meaningful. It's something he hasn't been able to replace. When a man starts regretting losing you, one of the easiest ways to spot it is through his behavior online. You might notice that he's suddenly watching every story you post, liking old photos, or reacting to updates he never paid attention to before. These actions may seem small, but they're far from accidental. Social media becomes his way of staying connected to your life without actually having to reach out. It offers him a window into your world, and when he misses you, even a glimpse can feel like something meaningful. He may not have the courage to send you a message or start a real conversation, but he still wants to be seen. By consistently engaging with your content, he's quietly hoping you'll notice. Maybe he wants to remind you he's still there, or maybe he just wants to feel like he's still part of your life in some indirect way. This digital interaction is a low-risk way for him to keep the connection alive, especially if he's unsure whether you would be open to talking again. These online patterns become more noticeable when they don't match his usual behavior. If he wasn't very active on your profiles before and now suddenly views every story or likes every new post, it's a sign he's not just browsing. He's looking for signs of your happiness, trying to gauge whether you've moved on or if there's still a space in your life where he used to be. This curiosity often comes from a place of longing and uncertainty, a need to feel close to what he once had. Even though it might seem passive, this kind of digital attention says a lot. It's not just about scrolling and tapping. It's about him trying to feel included, trying to reclaim some sense of closeness through the only channel that feels safe at the moment. Whether or not he admits it, watching your stories and liking your pictures is often his quiet way of saying, "I still care," without having to face the vulnerability of saying it out loud. One of the more telling signs that he regrets losing you is when he suddenly becomes curious about your love life. He might ask in a casual tone, as if it doesn't really matter, saying things like, "So, are you dating anyone?" Or, "Bet you have guys lining up for you now." He tries to laugh it off or make it sound like a joke, but the truth is, there's often a lot of emotion behind that question. He's not just making conversation. He's checking to see if someone else has taken he the once held in your heart. This kind of question usually comes with mixed signals. On the surface, the apology has been, he'll pretend that he's just being friendly or joking around, but the words carry weight. There's often a nervous energy in the way he asks or a slight hesitation in his tone. He might even quickly change the subject afterward, trying not to let on that the answer really matters to him. But deep down, he's hoping you'll say no, or at the very least, that no one else has made you feel the way he did. It's common for people who regret losing someone to fear being replaced. It's not just about jealousy. It's about realizing they may have walked away from something real and meaningful. So when he asks about your dating life, it's not simply out of curiosity. It's driven by the fear that someone else might be doing what he failed to do, making you feel seen, valued, and loved. That possibility can be hard for him to accept, especially if he's still emotionally attached. Even if he's dating someone else, this question can still come up, which makes it even more telling. If he truly moved on, he has been. He would need to know what's going on in your romantic life. But when he asks, it shows he's still emotionally tied to you in some way. He wants to know where he stands in your world, even if only in your memories. That question may seem simple, but it often carries the weight of regret, hope, and a silent wish that maybe it's not too late. When a man truly begins to regret losing you, one of the clearest and most powerful signs is when he takes genuine accountability for his actions. He no longer blames circumstances or makes excuses for what went wrong. Instead, he begins to openly acknowledge how his behavior contributed to the distance between you. You may hear him say things like, "I know I messed up," or "I didn't handle things the right way." These words aren't just about guilt. They show growth, reflection, and emotional awareness, often born from time spent apart and the silence that followed. It's not easy for most people to admit their faults, especially when pride or fear is in the way. So when he begins to take responsibility without being defensive, it's a strong indicator that he's done some serious thinking. This shift usually happens when he realizes that blaming you or avoiding the truth didn't make him feel better. If anything, it made the regret sink in deeper. Taking accountability becomes a way for him to try and reconnect not just with you, but with the version of himself that he let down. Sometimes his apologies come quietly and unexpectedly. He might send a message out of the blue just to say sorry for how he acted or how things ended. These moments can be emotional, apology has been, especially if he expresses remorse without asking for anything in return. It's not about trying to win you back in that moment. It's about finally seeing the damage clearly and feeling the weight of it. He knows he can't undo the past, but acknowledging his mistakes is his way of honoring what the relationship meant. True regret leads to personal growth. And when someone owns their part in the downfall of a relationship, it's a step toward healing for both people. Whether or not you choose to reconnect with him, this logy, his level of honesty shows that the love you share left a lasting impact. He no longer sees the breakup as just a rough patch or a misunderstanding. He understands it was a consequence of choices he made, and by taking accountability, he's trying to face those choices with maturity and clarity. When a man regrets losing you, he often starts making noticeable changes in himself, not because someone told him to, apology has been, but because he realizes he wasn't the version of himself that you truly deserved. One of the clearest signs is when he begins putting more effort into his appearance or lifestyle. Maybe he starts hitting the gym regularly, dressing better, or suddenly caring more about how he presents himself. These changes are usually rooted in the desire to become more attractive or appealing, not to everyone, but to you specifically. It's his way of saying, "Look at me now. I could be the man you needed." What makes this shift more meaningful is when he begins doing things he once said he never would. If he used to lack ambition or avoid responsibility, you might notice that he's now working harder, taking on new goals, or stepping into a more mature version of himself. It's as if losing you became a wake-up call that forced him to reevaluate who he was and who he wants to be. This isn't just about superficial changes. It's about growth that's fueled by reflection and regret. These efforts are often subtle at first. He might casually mention new things he's doing, hoping you'll take notice. The apology has been. He doesn't always say directly that he's doing it because of you, but there's often an unspoken hope that you'll see the changes and think differently of him. He wants you to recognize that he's evolving into someone more stable, more driven, and more emotionally available. The kind of man who would never take you for granted again. Of course, not all change is genuine, and some people only put on a show for attention. But when the effort is consistent, thoughtful, and matched by a deeper shift in behavior and attitude, it's usually a sign that the loss truly impacted him. Regret can be a powerful motivator. And when someone truly feels the weight of losing someone valuable, it often pushes them to rise above their old patterns. In these moments, he's not just trying to win you back. He's trying to become someone who would never lose you in the first place. When a man regrets losing you, he often finds indirect ways to stay connected to your life, especially if he doesn't have the courage or clarity to reach out to you directly. One of the most common ways he does this is by asking mutual friends about you. He might casually bring your name up in conversation or ask how you've been doing, hoping to hear something about your current life. While it may seem like harmless curiosity on the surface, it's usually driven by deeper emotions and an underlying sense of longing. These questions are rarely random. When he asks mutual friends how you're doing, whether you're happy or if you've moved on, he's not just making small talk. He wants to know where he stands in your world, even if he's no longer part of it. He's quietly hoping that maybe you still mention him, that you haven't completely closed the door, or that there's still some part of you that hasn't let go. The fact that he seeks updates through rather than asking you directly suggests that he's both curious and cautious. Often, he won't admit that he's been asking about you. It might only come to light when a friend tells you something like, "He was asking how you're doing," or "He wanted to know if you're seeing anyone." These kinds of updates are his way of trying to feel close to you without making himself vulnerable. He might even tell mutual friends things he wishes you knew, hoping the message will find its way to you. It's a quiet, roundabout way of staying emotionally involved in your life. This behavior reveals more than he may intend. If he truly didn't care or had fully moved on, he wouldn't feel the need to check in through others. But when he continues to ask about you, it shows that he still feels connected to you in some way. It means that something unresolved lingers in his heart, and he hasn't been able to fully let go. This quiet curiosity, masked as casual questions, often speaks volumes about the regret he carries and the emotional space you still occupy in his life. When a man regrets losing you, moving on becomes more complicated than he expected. He might try dating someone new, has been, hoping it will help him forget or replace what he had with you, but something always feels off. He finds himself comparing this new person to you, often without realizing it. The way you used to laugh, the comfort of your conversations, or even the simple routines you shared start to stand out more clearly now. It's not that the new person is doing anything wrong. It's that the emotional connection he had with you isn't so easy to replicate. Even when he tries to embrace a new relationship, it may lack the depth or familiarity that made your bond special. He could start noticing that the way he felt when he was with you doesn't come naturally anymore. There might be moments when he pulls away emotionally from someone else because he feels something is missing, even if he can't put it into words. This disconnection can be frustrating for him, especially if he believed he had already moved on. Over time, he begins to realize that what you both shared wasn't just routine or comfort. It had meaning and substance. When regret sets in, it often shows in how he looks back at himself during the time you were together, He may start to miss the version of himself that felt more grounded, loved, and emotionally connected. That reflection can hit hard, especially when he notices that his current relationships don't bring out the same qualities in him. He remembers being better, happier, or more motivated when he was with you, and it makes the absence even heavier. This constant emotional comparison becomes a cycle that keeps bringing his thoughts back to you. Even if he doesn't act on it, even if he pretends everything is fine, deep down he knows something meaningful slipped away. It's not just about missing a partner. It's about missing the version of life he had with you. And when someone realizes that they've lost not only a relationship, but also a better version of themselves, that kind of regret is hard to ignore or forget. When a man truly regrets losing you, one of the most powerful things he may do is offer an apology without expecting anything in return. This kind of apology is different from the ones that are used as manipulation or a way to reopen a closed door. It's quiet, sincere, has been, and often comes long after the breakup, when he's had time to reflect on everything. He's not apologizing to win you back or to fix things immediately. He's doing it because he finally sees the hurt he caused, and that realization sits heavy on his heart. This kind of apology is usually thoughtful and specific. He won't just say, "Sorry for everything," and leave it at that. He'll mention exactly what he did wrong, the ways he failed to show up for you, and how he now understands the impact of his actions. That kind of clarity doesn't from guilt alone. It comes from growth. He's not asking for forgiveness as a condition. He knows he may not get it, and he's okay with that. His goal isn't to make himself feel better, but to acknowledge the truth that he once avoided. What makes this apology meaningful is that it's not followed by pressure. He doesn't ask you to reconsider. He doesn't try to reopen old wounds or convince you that things could be different. He simply puts his words out there and gives them space to breathe. You can feel that he's finally being honest, not just with you, but with himself. There's a calmness in the way he speaks, a softness that didn't exist before. And that's because the regret has humbled him. Hearing a heartfelt apology like this can bring up a lot of emotions. It can be healing, validating, or even painful, depending on where you are in your own journey. But no matter how you respond, the fact that he's able to say those words without asking for anything in return shows just how much he's changed. It's one of the clearest signs that the loss affected him deeply and that he recognizes the value of what he once had and lost. When a man begins to truly regret losing you, one of the most significant changes you may notice is that he starts showing up in ways he never did before. He begins to offer the kind of emotional presence and consistency that was missing in the past. He might suddenly become more open, more communicative, and more attentive to your needs. These changes often don't come with grand announcements or flashy gestures. Instead, they show up in the quiet details. He listens more, he responds with care, and he seems more in tune with your emotions than he ever was before. This new version of him may come as a surprise, especially if you spent a long time wishing he would show up like this when you were together. Back then, he may have struggled with vulnerability or avoided deeper conversations, but now he seems to embrace them. He starts to understand the value of being emotionally available, of showing you that he's present, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. It's as if he finally realizes that love isn't just about words. It's about actions that are consistent and rooted in care. You may notice that he begins to take initiative in ways he once avoided. Whether it's making plans, checking in on you without being prompted, or offering genuine support during difficult moments, he becomes more reliable and steady. These aren't the actions of someone trying to impress temporarily. They're the efforts of someone who has looked back, understood his shortcomings, and made a decision to grow. He's no longer avoiding the hard parts of a relationship. He's stepping into them because he finally sees how important they are. This transformation, when genuine, speaks volumes about the regret he carries. It's not just about trying to win you back. It's about becoming someone who would never risk losing you again. His presence becomes intentional, and his actions begin to align with the kind of partner you always needed him to be. Whether or not you decide to open your heart to him again, one thing becomes clear: he has felt the weight of your absence, and it changed him in ways that only deep regret can.